1992. So you got to remember before cell phones and all that other stuff. And I come home, I land in LAX. My man Sean, remember, I get into his car. He's in the driver's, I'm in the passengers, and oh, Negro, you need to hear this. And he popped in Ice Cubes, No Vaseline. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh my God, That's a moment. That's a moment, man. That's a moment right there.
That's dope. That's dope.
Man. Good memory.
Goddamn, I'm glad y'all set it off.
Welcome to the Trap Bootcamp podcast. It's your girl, Oracle Jayne Doe. Well, if you don't know, now you know, I am a Gemini. And that's significant when it comes to this podcast because I like variety. And at the beginning of the season, I promised you we'd be trying some new things. So today is going to be the first of 3 episodes on the effects of music. We're going to do a little closer look on that. Why music? Well, what would fitness be without music? Nothing. Studies show that music affects every part of our brain and body. Music accesses alternative pathways in the brain that heal the body in so many amazing ways. So why aren't we careful about what we take in during our transformation? Yes, the music we listen to. I'm guilty of this too. I listen to all kind of stuff. But sometimes we got to switch it up. Do me a favor. Close your eyes. Touch your wrist. Check your pulse for a minute. Taking a breath. It's good to be alive, right? Now, listen to these songs and tell me if you feel a change in your heart rate.
Everything you got.
Today's episode addresses that question. If music is such a powerful tool for change, why are we not more careful about what we listen to? We will be having some really dope conversations with some of my good friends about the topic, and we'll discuss what they're doing to preserve the culture. And in turn, what they're doing to change society, because I feel like music changes society. The title of today's episode is Lyrics of Light and High Responsibility, a closer look on the effects of music. Stay tuned. Am I tripping? Yes, I am definitely tripping this week. I really didn't realize how extremely dope our next guest is. Honestly, I like to interview people that I have a history with, and today's guest I've known since high school. And I'm just blown away by the accomplishments of DJ Burt Blackarach. Here's a quick look at his bio. DJ Burt Blackarach is a Grammy-winning engineer, seasoned DJ, and a longtime collaborator as a producer and composer with iconic MC Chuck D of the seminal rap group Public Enemy. Okay. Blackarach quickly became an accomplished producer, engineer, and guest DJ working with old and new talent alike, including Snoop Dogg, The Temptations, Kelly Clarkson, and in 2000, he received the Best R&B Album Grammy win for his engineering work with The Temptations. Together, Blackarach and G Wiz would have produced songs for Public Enemy, Aerosmith, Ludacris, KRS-One, Busta Rhymes, among others, ESPN X Games, countless Super Bowl commercials, and original music for MTV, VH1. He created the #1 Airbnb experience and found so many ways to maneuver through the industry and contribute to the culture in many, many ways. He has an unshazamable experience that takes you on a journey through a collection of rare, never-released recordings from the 1960s to the 1980s. The curated set of gems features legendary music, including Rick James, Toto, Public Enemy, plus Burt's own father and songwriter, Hall of Fame inductee. Please check this interview out. I will be interviewing my friend Brother Jay from X-Clan and Sherry Brown as well, who was a writer, a platinum writer for Patrice Rushen. So stay tuned for more in this episode.
What I would say is that throughout my experiences, you know, a lot of people, I guess one thing I'll say is that I grew up in the music business. My mother and father were pretty amazing. We started one of the first Black-owned publishing companies in 71. Right? You know, Black family, I mean, people just didn't start their own publishing companies, you know. Sam Cooke did that shit in 64, and that was revolutionary. Learning publishing, I start DJing with Mark and Greg, the whole posse that we all know well. And I'm learning DJing, they're the DJs, I'm managing them, so I'm learning managing, how to get gigs and break bread and save money and all that and reinvest. While I'm peeping the DJ game, I'm learning how to DJ, I'm getting real good at it. Then I want to make music, and I'm thinking, man, I got to get a drum machine, because, you know, we made demos all through junior high and high school. I'm like, yo, I want to make my own music, let me get a drum machine. And I remember I moved into my sister's apartment. I was paying $600 a month for the single apartment we were living in. My sister had a spare room, and she was paying like $800 for her whole place. So we moved in with her and was able to pay like $250 a month. And I was able to save that $400, and in 2.5 months I bought an SP 1200.
That was my first piece too.
Right, and I was sleeping, and I would sleep with it on my chest. And my girl's like, "What are you doing? What's wrong?" I'm like, "No, let's go. It's gonna be the fantastic voyage. You ready for this?" Right? So now I'm producing, and I'm making music, and I'm going to school, and I'm playing baseball, and then I'm daydreaming about I'm going to get drafted. I'm going to be traveling on the baseball team. How am I going to bring my drum machine with me? So I already heard the conflict in my head, right? And then I'm done with college baseball. My knees tore up. I'm like, I'm not rehabbing and going through this. This is hard. I'm going to focus on music. So now I'm making music and I'm making beats. And then I say, I need to make my music sound better. I need to learn how to engineer. My dad died. At his funeral, this dude pulls up in a U-Haul truck full of gear from Michigan. Good friends with my dad. He's like, "Hey, I'm opening a studio. Do you want to come work for me?" I'm like, "Yeah." So now I'm learning engineering. And then I go from that studio to the next studio where I get on the Temptations album, where I'm engineering the Temptations album. Grammy Award, Best Album of the Year. From there, I had given a beat tape out to somebody. I get a call from James Cameron like 9 months later, James Cameron's company. They're like, "Hey, you know, we got your music. We put it in our pilot. We're using 4 songs in our pilot. We want to bring you on board." Get the fuck out of here. So I go there, check it out. I'm like watching it play. And then the end credit, it says Gary G. Wiz and Public Enemy. And I'm like, "Yo, Gary G. Wiz and Public Enemy are on here. Like, this is dope." And he said, "Oh yeah, I'll introduce you to him." Right? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like,
Right.
At the rap party after the first season, I meet Gary. Gary says, "I love the work you're doing." I call him up the next day, like, "Yo, I got a plan. There's not enough Black produced. There's not enough urban music in films. They're always looking for stuff, and they can never find it. We can create a company called Urban Score and focus on that, make beats and stuff that works for composition." So him and I partnered up. So now I'm partners with Gary and Chuck. We're crushing it. We're doing theme songs. We're scoring movies and television shows. So I'm showing you the shifts, right? I go from learning publishing to DJing to making beats to engineering to composing on television shows and movies to I got a weed license. Now I'm opening up a weed shop in 2000.
Oh, damn.
And I own a weed shop from 2005 to 2012 while I'm DJing. So now, going from the DJing to the weed shop to touring the world with Jurassic 5 as a stage manager, performing. I produced an album in London called Burt Blackarach Does London. I get to the point where Airbnb is starting doing this program called Experiences. And then I'm like, man, maybe I should do an experience. And they're like, well, what if you did like something like a DJ, be a DJ for a day? We started coming up with. I'm like, nobody doesn't want to do that. I'm like, whatever. I threw it up there, did it. The #1 experience. I became the superstar at Airbnb's Experiences, right? Then,
And have you guys ever DJ'd before?
No.
This is how you hold the record, believe it or not. So this is your chance to get used to this.
It's just not, I'm going to be a DJ and I'm going to be the best DJ in the world. I'm constantly shifting and I'm seeing things that really interest me. You know, workshop interests me, DJing interests me, engineering interests me. When I put something out in the ether, shit comes right back to me.
That's right.
It is what it is. So as I'm doing the Airbnb stuff, to be a DJ, which is people would come to my studio and I would teach them how to DJ, but I would do it in a 1-hour form. So I make it fun. So people I teach them how to hold records. I teach them the basics of scratching. I could show you videos. I saw thousands of videos.
Right. I've seen some stuff online.
Dope. So the be a DJ thing was dope. And then they had started doing concerts, Airbnb. And they said, hey, would you be interested in doing a concert? We're doing curating special events. And then I said, ooh, I could do a show called Unshazamable, where I play all of my publishing from the 60s and 70s, music that you can't Shazam.
Keep talking to us. He's gonna keep talking to us right here.
The words that we speak are so powerful, and the just like you said, your father, you know, the years ago, the feeling, the nostalgia of music is so haunting to any person. Like there's so many songs. But some people won't listen to an entire genre of music.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they will just kind of like, I stick to country, I stick to this. And you've had the ability to have so many different types of music, and it created and influenced who you are. How do you feel your past has influenced that? You just have been able to immerse yourself in so many types of music.
I was told, so if people don't know, DJ Newmark from Jurassic 5 is one of my best friends on the face of the earth. Him and I started out DJing together in high school and making demos and producing, and him and I are wired so similarly, where we're like hyper focused on something. Any dollars we made would go right back into what we were doing, buying records, getting music equipment. We're just super wired the same way. And he really appreciated my father. And we had a little studio in the back garage in my house. And one day my dad told us both, and Mark will tell you the same thing if you ever talk to him. My dad said, this shit is cool that you're doing, but know all types of music. And at first we were like, you know, hip hop. I'm like, fuck that, motherfucker. You know,
yeah, exactly.
Then we realized how right he was.
Yeah.
Then you can tell by our eclectic taste. You can tell by Newmark's sets that he does, the DJ sets, the music that he made. You can tell by all the stuff that I've done. It's like we got to know all kinds of music, because all of it lends to not only your creative, but it also lends to communicating with other people. If I didn't like trap music, I'm a jerk for completely shutting it off when it's moving a whole nation. It's the same way if somebody shut off hip hop music when we were growing up, they're completely missing the DNA of us. So I dig trap music. I find a lot of dope shit in there. You know, the trap music is ridiculous because the melodies that they come up with. I've always said, it doesn't matter what you say, it's how you're saying it. So there's a lot of good things that this music offers. And if you're going to shut yourself off from country music, you're going to shut yourself off from trap, if you're going to shut you from jazz music, you're really missing an opportunity to understand other people. Right?
What do you feel? What music do you feel mostly impacted your life?
It's really not a fair question because it's an evolution. I can say this as a fact. There's never been one day of my life I haven't had a recording studio in my house. Not one day. Even if I had a piano, my dad had a piano in the corner writing songs. If I had a drum machine in not one day has gone by where I haven't had a studio in my house. You know, all the music that I grew up around really primed me for what took my life over, which was hip hop. Because then I really understood how the music was coming together.
Right.
But the minute I saw graffiti rock with Run DMC battling Treacherous 3, I was like, right, that's it. That's what really shaped me. And
Graffiti rock. Now is the time for all the people all over the world.
And then that kind of kept going into when you get to KRS-One and Public Enemy and X-Clan, Brother Jay, Poor Righteous Teachers. I mean, that's where I learned about self. That's when I learned about Africa. You remember the medallions we would rock, the African medallions and all that. I started like, who's Benjamin Banneker? Like, I was learning. That's when I wanted to take American studies. So, I mean, that hip hop took me into that. I wasn't going to learn that with jazz. I wasn't going to learn that with country, but I learned that. So, I mean, hip hop it's the number one music in the world for a reason.
It's crazy that as teenagers, we never discussed that both of our parents were in the music industry and that music had been an instrumental tool in enhancing and changing our lives for the better.
What do you feel is the most superior format of music? Do you still have like disc CDs? Do you have records? What's up?
Hold on. Let's do this. So here is some records, right? This is my wall of publishing. I own publishing on all those records.
Oh, dope.
And then let me see if I can do this.
Lord have mercy. Look at that there.
Right. I realized, hey, you know what? Why would I want to go rent a store when I can just turn my corner into a merchandise? So now I put
my gosh.
Right? So to answer your question, I rock vinyl like crazy.
Yes.
I'm where everybody knows.
We got into a deep discussion about hip hop, and I found that we had some parallel experiences when it came to the love of hip hop. The nostalgic moments that shaped us are deeply rooted in music. I connected with my first experience to listening to Snoop Dogg's album with my friends and how it felt.
I was in college. I remember going to go buy that record. We pieced our money together. Everybody put in $5. We went and got the physical record and a CD and a tape. We got all of them. And we sat there and we listened to everything, broke it out, looked at everything. It was just a moment. And I was in college. It was 5 girls. We were all looking at the Snoop Dogg album like it was like the most amazing thing. Do you have a moment or a music association moment that you can think of?
I've got several that come to mind. I'm going to tell you this one. This one's good. I was in Toronto, 1992. So you got to remember, before cell phones and all that other stuff. And I come home. I land in LAX. My man Sean, you remember Sean Booker?
I just seen him not too long ago at the store.
There you go. That's my man. I'm godfather to his youngest son.
Oh, cool.
So he picks me up at LAX. I get into his car. He's in the driver's, I'm in the passengers, and I don't say the N-word, but he's like, "Oh, Negro, you need to hear this." And he pops in Ice Cubes, No Vaseline. Ooh. Oh my God, man. Jeez. That's a moment. That's a moment, man. That's a moment right there.
That's dope. That's
Yeah,
dope.
man. Good memory.
We both agree that music today is way different, and we understand that as you get older, your ear does change. But it's easy, and we don't want to be old school cats. So we steer clear of critiquing too much and just keep an open ear. I listen to a lot of stuff with my daughter, and I'm open to it, but I'm just learning that now we have to transform the way that we listen so that we can continue to transform our bodies.
You guys are knuckleheads, but I think it's always been the same.
Influence, but do you feel like it's our response, not our anymore, but do you feel like it's the rapper's responsibility? Like right now, society, there is a shift now. I feel there's an organic shift in spirituality and consciousness and stuff like that. And that is starting to influence the music a lot more. But prior to that, we were seeing a lot of, like, I feel personally, damaging things. Same thing with the lyrics we experienced back in the day, but it started to be a little more damaging to where, like, the influence of the stripper for women, we just kind of overtook our industry. And me being a female rapper, like, that is definitely not was a thing that I would put my music into. That wasn't my style. I have friends that was their style, but it feels like the last couple of years, and I maybe because I'm older, you know, because you get older, you start looking like those damn kids, those damn bad rapper. That's
I'm very conscious of that. I make sure that I put myself in check if I ever even start to think that, because it's hypocritical.
Yeah, it is. But sometimes when you look at, well, I can't even say but. I have to put myself in their shoes too, because I do recall the influence of the time when we were out. It was a more, you know, we were talking about rapping and smoking weed, but the sex influence now, I feel like it's so heavy and it's so much more pushed.
You got 5 girls in college that were ponying up cash to go get doggy style.
True.
Come on.
True.
Come on.
It's true.
Come on.
And it's still, and it's probably still the same to this day.
Stay tuned for next week's episode. We'll be talking to Brother Jay of X Clan. He's a legend in hip hop. Designed and Trend magazine named him as one of the greatest conscious rappers of all time. We'll talk about how he feels about music and how he feels we're being affected by music. It's going to be a really interesting episode. See you next week.
Play a little game with you. It's a word association game. So the first word that comes to mind when I say these words, okay?
All right then.
I'm hoping that you say what I hear in my head. I feel like you're going to say what I hear.
We'll see what's up.
Here we go. Okay. First one is African.
Grand verb. Grand verbalizer. Yeah.
All right. Love.
Peace.
Hip hop.
Freedom of speech.
Culture.
Needed.
Fear.
The enemy.
Peace.
Happiness.
Music industry.
A great tool.
Words.
Power.
Music.
The remedy.
Hate.
Common.
And freedom.
By any means.
All right.
Freedom or death. You shall. It's necessary that you align yourself with people and attract people into your business who are hungry, people who are unstoppable and unreasonable, people who are refusing to leave life just as it is and who want more. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality.